Hello, my name is Craig Sear and I work for a company called Sanders Environmental. One of the primary focuses of Sanders Environmental is to help restore North American bat populations to the numbers that they previously had. So today we're going to be taking a closer look at what we can all do to make a difference in saving the bats. So first off, let's check out what's happening to the bats in North America. So this graph shows bat populations recorded being caught in mist nets in Monongahela National Forest from 2006 to 2015. In case you didn't know, mist netting is a technique where very fine large nets are set up along common bat flight paths through a forest. And this can be openings in the forest or openings above small water bodies. When a bat is caught, data is taken on species, sex, maturity, and other important factors, like if the bat might have a disease that we should be concerned about. Monongahela National Forest is an extremely dense forest with lots of caves. So this is an ideal area for most North American bat populations. However, as you can see from the chart in front of you, capture rates for bats within the forest have been on steady decline since 2006. And what this tells us is that bat populations have been on a decline in what should be a very heavily populated area. This second graph shows 11 major hibernation spots for Indiana bats in the state of Missouri. Again, you can see a large decline over time within the number of bats sighted in the recorded caves. And if you look at the data from both these graphs, it's clear that we are seeing a wide range of bat declines. This issue is spanning multiple species and is occurring in multiple states across the country. So why should we care? What do bats do for humans, and what do they do for our ecosystem? To start, bats provide natural pest control within their ecosystem. So if you're somebody who enjoys a warm summer's night out, you've probably experienced lots of pests, gnats, mosquitoes, or other insects flying around you, and bats take care of lots of those insects. Some species of bat can eat up to 1,000 insects in 1 hour of active feeding every night. So bats are making a major difference in the amount of pests and insects that we experience. Additionally, one of the probably less common roles that bats play is their role as a pollinator or seed disperser. And there are several species of fruit bats and other bats that rely on nectar and fruits as a food source. And so as they go along collecting their food for the night, they'll be picking up pollen and bringing it to other plants. You can see in this picture on the right, there's a bat that has pollen all over its face and wings, and so it's performing its duty as a pollinator. And finally, bats play a huge role as indicator species. An indicator species is a species that requires a very niche home or food source or other health requirements for its population to stay stable. And so if we see a decline in bat populations, we might also assume that the overall health of their environment or ecosystem that they're living in is on the decline as well. So one of the biggest issues that bats have been dealing with for over a decade now is their fight against a fungal disease called white nose syndrome. White nose syndrome is a fungus that grows along a bat's nasal cavity and prevents proper respiration. During hibernation, this can become a huge problem because bats will experience a lack of oxygen intake or a lack of carbon dioxide removal, and that can in turn wake the bats. And this causes them to expend way more energy than they had been ready to expend during their hibernation months. White nose is forcing several species across America to become endangered, and it is killing off large numbers of bat populations within the U.S. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service first started its comprehensive data records on the spread of white nose in around 2007 to 2008. This graph was, or this data was released in 2010, and you can see from this chart that most of the white nose confirmed cases are in the northeastern corner of the U.S. in the New England states. As we jump ahead in time, we can see that the spread of white nose has now traveled from those New England states down into the Midwest. And these are going to be states like West Virginia that have Monongahela National Forest or other dense forests that are home to some of the largest populations of bats within North America. And as we jump ahead to current time, you can see that the spread of white nose has now reached across almost the entire state where bat populations exist, even as far as Texas, California, or Washington. So as you can see, the spread of white nose has perhaps slowed but not stopped, even with the efforts of companies like Sanders Environmental or other federal organizations that are attempting to record and prevent the spread of white nose. So there are several ways that humans can have negative interactions with bats that might be assisting in the decline of bat populations in the US. First, when humans go exploring in caves, they can act as carriers for white-nosed fungus and bring it to other locations if their gear isn't properly cleaned between cave visits. So white nose can actually act as a hitchhiker on humans and travel from cave to cave in that manner. Spraying pesticides can also act as an issue for bats. These pesticides can become bioaccumulates in insects and then eventually into bats that eat those insects. And the chemical buildup within bats can become an issue in pregnant mothers when giving birth. Another negative interaction that humans might have is improper exclusion techniques, and this is referring to the removal of bats from your house or any other building that a bat might attempt to rest in during summer or winter months. If a bat is excluded in a harmful or harsh way, it could damage the wings of the bat or even kill the bat. And finally, habitat and roost destruction, or the removal of dead standing wood, like this image on the right, on your property or a property that is being developed could actually mean that you're destroying a bat roost. So what are some ways that humans can have positive interactions with bats? Well, for one, proper cleaning of cave exploration gear is essential if we want to help slow the spread of white nose syndrome. While we can't really prevent the spread of this fungus between bats, we can definitely help reduce it as a spread that occurs through humans. So you can see from this image at the bottom right of your screen, these people that are going into cave exploration are wearing very clean suits that will probably be cleaned once again after they exit the cave. Reducing the use of insecticides, mainly throughout the summer months when bats are most active, is really important in reducing that chemical buildup. And so switching over to maybe a more natural pest warding or pest control method, maybe using those tiki torches or burning some fire or sitting around a campfire out in the summer and using that smoke to ward off insects would be a much better way with dealing with insects. Calling on expert animal removal to get rid of a in-home bat is a much better way than excluding the bat yourself. If you call a wildlife control or pest control company within your area, they could be able to help you with the removal of a bat or should be able to suggest someone else that could help you. And finally, building or buying and hanging your own bat house could be a way to help with the amount of habitat destruction we're causing for bats' natural homes. And so finally, let's look at some sources and sites you can go to learn more about this issue. So the company I work for, as mentioned, Sanders Environmental, on their website we give information as to what we do with the data we collect from mist netting and how it can go to helping federal organizations create data or charts like the ones shown in this presentation to give us a better idea on the spread of white nose. And additionally, there are some chances for job opportunities with Sanders Environmental on the website. If you're looking for more information about endangered bat species in the United States or information on the spread of white nose, the White Nose Syndrome Response Team or the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service have tons of information about that stuff. And finally, Bat Conservation International is a worldwide conservation group for bat species. And on their website, you can find building instructions for a bat house or information on where to best hang your bat house so you can get more bats to move in. So finally, I hope you found this information on bat species within North America to be useful, and I hope you share this information with somebody you know. It's important that if we want to stop the spread of white nose or help endangered bat species in North America, that we become as informed and as educated on bat populations as we can be. Thank you.